What's up, guys? I'm Diana Coulian, the recipe hacker, and welcome to the RHR Kitchen. Guys, today we are making a recipe that is super fast. It almost doesn't seem real. It's a 1-minute protein coffee cake. So yesterday I was asked to give a talk to my daughter's 7th grade health class, which was really fun because I'm trying to teach some kids some things about fitness and nutrition that they can take with them to keep them on a good path to prevent some of these things that happen to a lot of us, like obesity and heart disease. So trying to set them up for success and giving them some fat loss tips. And it kind of put me back in the mindset of how I even got into fitness. In junior high, all I wanted to do was bake. And like the kitchen was my happy place. I learned how to bake when I was about 12. And I spent like the next 5 years making cookies, brownies, cakes. Like I just loved to bake to the point where when I started high school, I realized that I had about 40 pounds of fat to lose because in addition to cooking, baking all these sweets, I also ate them. And I realized, gosh, I want to be active. I want to join sports teams. I want to be social. And I'm just uncomfortable in this body that all the baking had created. And so that's what got me into health and fitness. That's what got me into nutrition. And really, through that path, I became a personal trainer and I learned how to eat to maintain a healthy body. And the biggest thing, and this is one of the tips that I taught the kids yesterday, is eat for protein. We really need to make protein that #1 nutrient that we're looking for in each of our meals. And then the secondary thing is to really avoid sugar. So if you look at what baked goods typically are, there's almost no protein in it. And it's got a lot of sugar, right? But it tastes so darn good. And we're so programmed to want to have a piece of cake, to want to have something sweet after dinner. I certainly am. So guys, this recipe, talking to the kids yesterday and kind of remembering what got me into this and how really today I'm able to bake things and to create desserts that are full of protein and that have 0 sugar, but still taste like cake. It still tastes like dessert, and it still really gets you that satisfaction that you're looking for. And we live in a time where we have DoorDash and we have Grubhub and we have the drive-thrus, and at the grocery store, at the checkout, there's all those quick things that we can grab to really get something sweet. It's all so accessible, it's all so easy, and it's all full of sugar. So when I decided last night, I was inspired after talking to the kids and, realizing like, gosh, this is just such a fun thing to have high quality protein, to make a dessert that has high protein and no sugar. I also realize the time that we're living in, we don't have a ton of time to make a complicated recipe that maybe it'll turn out amazing and taste great. But if you're not going to do it, if it's just not practical for you to do a recipe that bakes for an hour or that, has 12 different ingredients that you have to find and then mix it up. I mean, even for me, and I love to bake, I love to cook, there's that resistance to a complicated process. So my challenge to myself last night was, okay, I want to make one of these amazing dessert recipes that have the protein with no sugar, but I also want to make it as simple and fast as possible so that people can actually do it and enjoy it. So what I came up with, which is delicious, I had one yesterday and then I had one for breakfast because it's just that good and that quick, is a protein cinnamon coffee cake. And we're going to make it in a mug. I've brought my microwave in, so we are going to put it in the microwave for 1 minute. And I just want to show you how quick and easy it is to create a coffee cake that tastes just like something that you would buy at the bakery or something that you would make from a boxed cake mix. But this one has all the protein and all the nutrients that you need and has 0 sugar. Okay, so this is exciting. This is our cinnamon cereal milk premium whey protein, and we are going to have it in single serving packets just like this. It launches next week on the website. However, we have been going to some Fit Body boot camps and giving out some samples. And actually, if you go to Fit Body boot camp, your location might already have these single serving. But guys, the entire single serving cake uses 1 packet of the cinnamon cereal milk premium whey protein. I thought it would be, really convenient. So if you saw me this weekend at Your Belinda Fit Body Bootcamp and I gave you one of these, you have everything you need here as far as the protein goes to make this coffee cake at home. But guys, if you want to get these single serving packets, it goes on our website next week on the 24th. Okay, so let's get right into making this cake so I can show you how quick and easy it is. The first thing that you need is a large microwavable mug or bowl. So you need it to be large. And I learned this the hard way yesterday because I was thinking, I knew at the end after I made it, I wanted to flip it over and have it on a plate, like a real piece of cake, instead of eating it out of a mug. And so I used a ramekin, just like a normal sized ramekin, and like 15 seconds into, putting it in the microwave, it completely overflowed. So this morning I made it with this giant one, which turned out really good. We are putting some baking powder into our cake mix, and so it is gonna rise. It is gonna fluff up. So do yourself a favor. Use a mug, use your biggest mug. That way there's no way that it's gonna overflow because let me tell you, this tastes so good. I was like picking it off of the inside of my microwave because I didn't want to waste any of it. But if we can make it pretty and keep it all in one piece, that's even better. So I've got a little bit of coconut oil on this paper towel and I'm rubbing it on the inside of my big microwave safe mug because we don't want our cake to stick to it. I really want to flip mine out onto a plate when we're done and eat it that way. Of course, you could eat it in the mug if you prefer. Either way, I just like to make things look kind of pretty before I eat them. Okay, so when you're at home and you're making your own, if you want to mix all the ingredients in the mug that you just greased up, totally fine. I'm going to mix them separate and pour it in. Again, because I want to have that nice presentation at the end, but it's not necessary. I'm going to make 2 extra bowls dirty, which you don't have to do at home. Okay, guys, so 1 full packet or 1 scoop of the cinnamon cereal milk premium whey protein. We have bags, which you might already have a bag. In that case, just use 1 full scoop. Or again, if you've gotten one of these already, then just 1 packet of this. If you don't have the cinnamon cereal milk flavor, guys, I would go with just the vanilla protein. And then I would add at least a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon to it. Okay, this already has the really delicious cinnamon flavor in it, so we don't have to add any more cinnamon, which is nice. But again, if you only have vanilla, then 1 full scoop of vanilla and put a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon in there. Okay, so we got our protein. Next thing is 1 tablespoon of granulated swerve. So guys, this is a sugar replacement. It has 0 grams of sugar, but it's a great way to add a little bit more sweetness to our cake. And I really like how it comes in the granulated form. It also comes in the confectioner's form, which we're not using today. And then the brown sugar form, which is this is actually brown sugar swerve or brown swerve. I guess they don't call it brown sugar because there's no sugar in this. So it's a really cool sugar replacement, and we're just using a little bit of it. If you don't want to, like if you're okay with yours being a little less sweet, there's already stevia and monk fruit in the protein powder. If you want to leave the swerve out, that works as well. Not a problem there. Or maybe you have coconut sugar, could maybe just do like a teaspoon of coconut sugar. I wouldn't do a full tablespoon. Okay, so now we have 1/2 teaspoon of our baking powder. We're going to add to the powdered ingredients. And we have 1 tablespoon of coconut flour. Okay, now the last dry ingredient, I'm just going to do, this is my pink sea salt. I'm just going to do a pinch. Okay, guys, just a pinch. And we're also going to put a little pinch in our streusel topping when we get to that. But always add a little bit of salt to your sweet recipes to help enhance that sweet flavor. Okay, so I'm going to whisk the dry ingredients together. Again, not very many ingredients. at all go into this. The coconut flour typically has a little bit of lumps in it. So that's really what you're focused on as you're mixing this up, is those little lumps that come with the coconut flour. Everything else is really smooth. Okay, so now we're gonna do some wet ingredients. We only have 2. We have a 1/4 cup of almond milk. And yes, you can use any other type of milk, whatever milk you like. I know a lot of people now talk about oat milk, which I haven't gotten into. I think it's higher in carbs than almond milk, and I just love unsweetened almond milk. I do that if I make oatmeal, and I like to use it in smoothies, protein shakes, and different recipes like this. Really simple and low in calories. And 1 full egg. So in addition to getting all the protein from this packet of protein powder, we also have a full egg in here. Okay, guys, we're just gonna whisk our almond milk and our egg together. And again, if you're just mixing all of this in your mug, it's fine. Just you can, whisk those dry ingredients first, just like we did in that bowl, and then just throw your wet ingredients in. But just know, it might not come out as easy as what hopefully ours will come out here in a minute, if you're doing it all in the actual mug. But totally up to you. If you're just home by yourself and you're just making yourself a little dessert, it doesn't have to be pretty, does it? It just has to taste good. Okay, so we are gonna mix these 2 together. So I'm going to pour my wet ingredients right into my dry ingredients here. And I'm gonna whisk them together, and you're gonna notice that it's a pretty runny batter. Like it might surprise you. When I first wrote the recipe and my first try at this, I was like, hopefully this is gonna turn into a cake, but it seems pretty runny, but it did turn into a cake, as we will see here. Okay, so protein, as you're mixing it with the liquid, it's gonna take a little minute here to really get it incorporated, but we don't really need to worry too much about mixing it too intensely. Okay, so we got that. There aren't any major lumps. So again, giant mug, when we pour this batter into the giant mug, it's not gonna look like it's filling up very much of it. And that is a good thing, because we don't want overflow. We don't want a big old mess in the microwave, and then more importantly, we don't want to waste some of the cake. You could be like me and just pick it out of your microwave and eat it anyway. It's like, this microwave was clean, right? Okay, so getting every little ounce of this batter from the bowl. Okay, so it is only like that, guys. It is really just the lower third of the giant mug has batter in it, and that is perfectly okay. All right, so now we're gonna make a streusel topping. I just love streusel things. Like, I don't know if it was growing up in north of Seattle with lots of apples, and we would do crisps. So we would do like apple crisp, rhubarb crisp, but all of those things have this crumbled, usually it's butter, it's oats, it's brown sugar, it's salt, and it's like these cookie crumbles almost on the top. So I was like, that would be really good to incorporate into this really simple coffee cake. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of rolled oats, and then we have 1 tablespoon of that brown swerve, which is a lot like brown sugar. The thing, if you're used to working with brown sugar, obviously it tastes a little bit different. You can tell that this is, sweetened with, it's not real sugar. But the consistency, it's almost like stickier than regular brown sugar, but very, very similar in consistency, which is nice for the part of the recipe like this where you want it to have a certain consistency. Okay, so it's about a tablespoon of coconut oil. You could use some butter if that's part of your nutrition plan, to have a little bit of butter or dairy. I like using coconut oil. I use it, like coconut oil and olive oil are like my 2 fats that I like to use when I cook and when I bake. So I am using coconut oil here. And I'm probably just gonna get my hands dirty And again, just a pinch of that sea salt mixed in because it's gonna help us taste the sweet and just enhances the flavor of everything. Okay, so we're just mixing these. This is the brown swerve, the rolled oats, and then a little bit of coconut oil. Got it nice and wet here. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to put it on the top of the cake, but as it microwaves, it's gonna kind of sink to the bottom of the batter. And then when it comes out, we're gonna flip it over. So we should see some of it on what then becomes the top of the cake. So hopefully, if this works out, which it did this morning for me. So we're putting it on top, and it is kind of hanging out on the top as you put it there, but it will drop down. And do not worry. Of course, if you're not planning on flipping your cake out of the mug, it might actually just end up on the bottom, which is okay. You can always add a little bit more, which I did bring a little pinch of oats and a little pinch of more of the brown swerve because I do like to decorate at the end because everything just tastes better when it looks pretty. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna get my little dishes out of the way and we're gonna stick this in the microwave for 1 minute. This is the moment of truth. Again, the batter is only up to about there, and now there is the streusel on the top, and it is just 1 minute in the microwave. Okay, so as that cooks for a minute, I want to talk to you about glaze and about frosting. Okay, I personally, I'm gonna have to get my little bowl back. I like having a little bit of frosting or a little bit of glaze, especially when it comes to a protein cake, because as much as we try to not overcook protein things, they can dry out, which is why when your cake comes out, if it's a little gooey looking in the middle, that's perfect. You don't want to overcook it, okay? But if you still want the option for a little bit of glaze, I didn't put it as part of the main recipe because I wanted the main recipe to only take 1 packet of our protein. But if you have more protein, and you can use either the vanilla, or if you have a bag of the cinnamon, then you can use a little more of the cinnamon. But it's so simple to make a little protein powder glaze. A lot of this has to do, here we go, let's see. A lot of this has to do with the quality. Look at that, guys. Okay, so it doubled in size, and I'm just gonna flip it right away, and hopefully it's gonna be a little bit gooey. This is the exciting part. Oh yes, it is a little bit gooey, which as you'll see over the next couple of minutes, that is going to actually get less gooey, but that's perfect. So if it comes out like that, there's really no need to make a glaze because that's gonna be so perfect. The bottom of it is gonna be more cooked and the top is gooey, and so the combination is really good. So what I would do here, I would just put a little bit more oats like that, and I would just eat that. That'd be perfect. But if yours comes out a little more well done and you want some glaze, very simply, you're just gonna put about a tablespoon of protein powder. And again, this works really well with the Truly protein powders because we use such high quality ingredients and we're such sticklers for flavor. So when you have a protein powder that's this high quality and tastes this good, you don't need to do a lot to it for it to turn into a really delicious glaze. So I would just put this protein powder, a little bit of almond milk. We're gonna mix this together. And you're gonna just add protein and almond milk to meet your taste as far as consistency, right? So if you want a thicker glaze, then you would add more protein powder. If you want a thinner glaze, you would add more almond milk. But you're just gonna do this, and this is similar to the protein glaze we made for our cinnamon rolls last spring when we made cinnamon rolls, protein cinnamon rolls. But again, you just add a little bit of this, whisk it in. Sometimes when you're making this glaze, the protein powders, it's gonna take a couple of minutes for it to really look smooth. And even if you've mixed it and you're like, man, I feel like I've mixed it enough, but it looks like there's little lumps, like leave it for 2 minutes and then come back to it and you'll see that it's just gotten smoother and incorporated itself. So anyways, that's how we can make an easy little glaze. Again, the way this one came out, I know it doesn't look as pretty because it looks like half of it fell over, but consistency-wise, that's exactly what you want to have. You know, the bottom part is more well done and it tends to feel a little dry, but then when you've got all this, and a lot of this is that coconut oil that we had added to add that creamy glaze feeling to it, you are good to go. So guys, let me show you here, and just so you understand the inside of that cake looks like. So it's cooked all the way through. The top was left a little bit softer, and so it's almost like a built-in glaze. And the key to these mug cakes, guys, is to eat them right away because, again, it's gonna start to dry itself out. So this is not a cake you make ahead of time. This is a cake you make. It only takes you about 5 minutes to mix it up and then 1 minute to cook it. And then you have your delicious dessert, which is high in protein with 0 grams of sugar. So you can enjoy a delicious piece of cake with a cup of coffee or with a glass of almond milk, and you can stay fit and feel awesome, have the energy that you want, guys, and it's just super fun. So if you would like this protein powder, it's going to come out next week. Trulean.com is where you can find all of our products. RealHealthyRecipes.com is where you can see a ton of the recipes that I've made using the protein powders and using products like Swerve, where you can make something sweet without the sugar. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that all of you have an awesome day and that you try one of these desserts. Hopefully you'll make this dessert, guys, and just enjoy something that's good for your body, and it's just really fun to do. Guys, thank you so much. I will be back next time. Take care.